Hello and welcome back here to Feeling Terrific. Today I have a very special guest because she is one of my favorite colleagues at ServiceNow. So thank you for your time, Tatjana. I really appreciate it. It was very hard to schedule an appointment with you, with your PA. So thank you for that. But I'm very happy to have the conversation today. And the conversation basically will be about how she tackles the topic of having a career portfolio instead of a career path, right? And your background and your perspective on it is quite interesting. So thank you for your time, Tatjana. You're currently a solution consultant at ServiceNow, but maybe with the first and most important question, maybe from your perspective, who are you?
So, first of all, hi, Christian. I'm really, absolutely thrilled to be here. I'm very happy that we have this session, although the planning was long. You mentioned it. Well, basically, I'm a solution consultant where the role is also the motto. Like, I see my customers, I try to understand them, I try to get where they're coming from, and then, of course, offer solutions, best case scenario, with our wonderful product ServiceNow. But generally, I myself, where do I come from? Oh, that's a long story. I went to school, obviously, and then I started studying, and I started out studying economics, so international economics. Unfortunately, I completely despaired of the math part of that. So now I'm a big fan of math. Then I wasn't. So unfortunately, I failed and switched to political science, which is an interesting topic to do, actually. I traveled a bit around the world, saw different countries, and saw also different cultures and how they approach topics like, family, friends, but also business situations. That was really interesting. It also moved me a lot in a sense that I took quite a few sessions and lectures and experiences from that. My initial wish was actually to stay in political science, and I wanted to have this university career to develop myself in university, be a doctorate, be a professor, teach students, and just give them all the best so they can, push science forward, and let's, be the best there is in the world. Unfortunately, though, not something that I failed at that, not at all. And let me just say now, and let's come back to that later, failure is not a bad thing. It's not generally that you lose something. It's usually always that you get new opportunities in life. So failure is good. Let's start with that. But I didn't stick to university in that sense, because I thought the race for funding, for finances, to get your stuff published, to be able to research, etc., that was not really my game in the end. So I switched to the private sector, to the business side of things. And
do you mind interrupting you for a sec, Tatjana?
Please do.
But that's a very oh, good. No, but that's a very interesting point, right? So you just mentioned that it wasn't your thing to raise for money, right? But basically, isn't it what you're actually doing today to really describe what's the benefit of yours, of, in this case, ServiceNow, in order to get money, if we put it like that? So you could have been keeping in this space.
That's an absolutely interesting thought. I hadn't thought of that before, because basically, but maybe that's also the thing, that you have to gain more experiences so that you could put yourself, your life, or your vision of how business is going or should be going into a different perspective. And that also enables, me selling to our customers, because you're absolutely right. I'm racing for money again, to put it mildly. I mean, I'm in sales now. That's what we do. We go forward. We want to help our customers, but basically we don't help for free. It's always the slight notion that we want to sell something in the background. Yeah.
No, I mean, at the end, it's business, right? And it's also, for example, the same thing when every company is talking about family. At the end, it's business. And we are in a society, but also economic-wise, that everyone wants to make money. And so it's basically how it is, right? But yeah, so basically, if it's
business is not family. Don't call me on the weekends.
I don't call you on the weekend.
No.
No, but basically, if it's not working out with being a solution consultant anymore, so you could go back then.
Yeah, and it's always still like a dream in the background to go back and to teach, and to have big audiences in front of me, and just give them a bit of inspiration. That's actually something that I'm still aspiring to, but not on the horizon just yet. But let's see.
Yeah. But Tatjana, you don't need a big audience to inspire, right? Every time when you're in Munich in the office, you inspire me every time. So, all good here.
Thank you so much. I love to hear that.
But I
But that's
interrupted you.
yeah, you did.
Go ahead with
I
your
mean,
thought.
inspiring is really something that I think should be the goal in general. I know when we talked about this session, you asked me also which direction can we go, what could be like a core message that we want to give to our wonderful audience here in the call. And one thing or one word that really comes to mind is inspiration, inspiring other people. Because independent of where you are, be it HR, be it an accountant, be it a technician or an engineer, inspiration is not always straightforward. But in in most cases, really, this is the background. You want to achieve something. You want to help people. You want to inspire people to be the best they can be. Apple technicians, I bet they were very happy to inspire us with their awesome technology and get us connected and being able to order a taxi and to send a text. So inspiration is always in the background.
Yeah. You also mentioned it regarding the background, right? So you're having a multicultural background, and that doesn't mean necessarily coming from a different country and whatsoever, right? But more also regarding the different perspectives. For example, political science, the study, right? Now working in sales, working at a customer side. How or what would you say? How does this whole experience thing shaped you as a person as you are now today?
It definitely broadened my horizon. So that is one big advantage. If you try different things, you always get different perspectives and also different ideas. Just you get the feel of how different things are being done somewhere else. Not necessarily just in your home area, but really in different topics, in different companies, in different cultures. From perspective, most people who are very, I don't want to go in that xenophobic area, but most people are really very much interested in German culture are usually those that have not traveled far abroad, because then you get to know people and get to love people as they are, also as they are in their culture. I think that's also one focus point you have to try. If you burn for something, if you have an interest, if you're enthusiastic about something, you have to try it. I mean, in most cases, being good at something comes from trying, practicing, failing, trying again, and then you're brilliant at it sooner or later. I mean, I will not be a rocket scientist or an engineer in my life. And I did try out to play the trumpet when I was a kid. I will not be perfect in that anymore. My neighbors are very grateful that I stopped. But still, if I wanted to, if I really wanted to do something, then I would try. And that's, I think, the message. Always just, go ahead and try.
Yeah, maybe let us add on something you just mentioned twice. Twice, no, that's quite a number, twice. But failure is not a bad thing, right? I'm wondering. I mean, this is something in the theoretical way, right? But do you have an example for us where you failed, and how did you, deal with it? I mean, I think, or I assume, and I'm also talking about my experience, right? So when you fail in the first second afterwards, you think you feel like, what am I worth? Saying in an extremely way, right? But at the end, as you mentioned, it's basically nothing, and you can grow and learn and grow with it. Do you have an example for us from your experience?
Yeah, very recent one, but I'm not going to tell here. No, generally, my first failure, I think that really mattered, was my economic studies. That I just failed at math and statistics. we will not be friends. I thought. Now it's completely different. So I like math. I will not be a theoretical mathematician anytime soon, but that was the biggest failure. And that also defined me, because I thought this is something, I didn't have like an idea of what I was going to be when I finished school and started studying. It was just, okay, economics, as most economic students might think, is a wonderful basis for your career. Just like basic studies. So you can develop and become anything with a degree in BWL, if you like to call it. And I thought this is like, if I say this is the basis, then why do I fail at that? And it hurt. And failure sucks. Let's be very honest about that. Failure absolutely sucks. But in the end, usually life just opens other doors for you. You might not see them directly. You might take a while, draw yourself back into yourself for a week or a month. In some cases, even a year. But give yourself that time. But you will see that this one thing that you aimed for in that moment is not the only thing that interests you. So people are, I don't want to say diverse. People are extremely interesting, and they have plenty of passions, interests, topics they want to follow up on. And in some cases, it's just go out, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to people that you meet on the street. I don't care. Just see what they're up to, and you will see you will be inspired simply by hearing their stories. So go out and connect. And then maybe, very likely, you will find your next passion, or at least a hint and advice that, takes you there.
Yeah. And you know what? When I hear you talking, or when we meet each other, right, in the office, every time when I see you and when I talk to you, I am 110% sure that, yeah, I mean, I did not make the final decision, but I hired you as a recruiter, right? And this is something which I'm really proud of, because I think you can really bring a lot, not just to ServiceNow, but for every company you are working for. So, yeah, this is one of my proudest achievements. So maybe let me put it like
I
that.
appreciated you yet. Thank you. It was a
Yeah.
very wise decision.
Yeah. No, but also what you just mentioned, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but if I summarize it like that, everything happens for a reason, and being open-minded are two key elements to be maybe not just successful, but also kind of happy. Or maybe, well, what does happy mean to you?
Happy means that's a very profound question. But happy basically means being in the right spot for you at that time. So there's also this other kind of happy, being no meetings or appointments in the afternoon and a little drunk. That's my perfect definition of happiness. No, but seriously, if you feel you are in the right spot at that point of time in your life, then there is happiness. There always will be happiness. And one thing that I wanted to mention is, if you fail at something and you're, well, usually you're sad, you feel not good. let's put it that way. You don't usually or don't naturally go out to look for opportunities. It's counterintuitive to do that. But I still would say anytime, go out, meet someone, and just ask them what they're up to, and maybe you will get an idea from them, also what interests you.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting perspective. Just being also proactive, right? And sometimes it does make sense to do counterintuitive things. So that's also a good one. Maybe coming back to the agenda, kind of, because we're kind of slipping away from it, but that's a good thing. So it's just a guideline, right? But maybe that's also a good question for now, I would say. You just mentioned it, I think, a little bit, but what drives you as a person?
What drives me? I mean, I mentioned inspiration, but that is just really not just inspiration for myself. I really want to inspire people, and I want to inspire people for our platform, for our solution. after I studied political science, I switched to IT, which also the explanation of that also is kind of our agenda. So let's just, wrap up here. Okay, so no, but I switched from political science and went into the IT universe. So IT is really broad spectrum of opportunities that you can have. And I first was a project manager, then I was a support project management office supporter. Then I was a manager in the IT infrastructure area, so I really had, a lot of technical details to cover, and I wasn't prepared for that. So basically, I used to, or I did study in the afternoons. That was my hobby, study IT in my free time, in my spare time. But what always drove me was to be good at it, to just be able to in America you would say to serve the community, to serve the customer. Although that notion seems a little romantic and overboard, it's really what drives me. I want to be the best at what I am, and I want to help someone. I want to help my customers. This is like big circle coming around now. Being in sales is of course the first step where you really can start helping your customer. And I'm very happy I have, from technological point of view, an amazing product that I can, tell people about and inspire them to do better with our product, with our platform. This helps actually to have a good product in the background to inspire people. But it is really, I was there and I have those experiences, what it is to be in the infrastructure and not have a platform like ServiceNow. And now, of course, I can relate perfectly to my customers and say, okay, guys, I know where you're at. I know where it hurts. And I also know how we can help. And of course, that conversation then takes a completely different turn. And we talk on a completely different level, just saying, okay, we have this eye to eye understanding. And customers usually also give that feedback. It's like wonderful to be understood, and you really nailed it. You really hit the pain points, and we can see now also where the solutions and where the future might come from. Just to be able to, work. Not I have to try like 5 different software products and or jump through different teams. I raise my request here, and I get my product afterwards there, and it's simplicity in most cases. Really inspiration, be the best, and strive for just helping people.
That was a good summary. Thank you for that. But
A long one.
maybe in that context, what does mean career to you?
Career means getting better. not from health perspective, of course, but getting better at what you are, who you are, and what you can do within your business life. And I think that really was something that I recently had the chance to reflect a bit on my career development so far. And one thing that came up, I have this wonderful 3-step scenario. So I get somewhere, I learn, then I grow because I have the basis of what I learned, then I extend the basis of what I learned, and then I start to inspire people to really, get that knowledge that I learned and grew out into the world. And in university, I started off as a student, of course. So I learned, I grew, I became a tutor for other students. And in the end, I organized student conferences. And that was the inspiration part to get it further out into the world. And I had a similar event lately in the network area. I'm participating or a member of a female technology network, NetworkTech. And here it was the same. I learned there are networks. I grew. I gave a panel, her career conference last year. Wonderful conference, by the way. So I invite everyone to come and join. It's an amazing event. And now I organized the first NetworkTech event in Hamburg. So again,
I heard it was quite a success.
Oh, coincidentally, 15th of June, we'll have the next event. So if anyone is interested, please do contact me. But it's always these 3 steps, you dive into a topic, dive into a subject, you learn, you grow, and then you can externalize your knowledge and inspire others.
Yeah. You know what I really like about your answer to that question, right? It wasn't something like, for example, okay, I want to be head of something or senior manager of whatsoever, right? It's much more meaningful, and this is what I think is also, yeah, is once someone realized that, I think this is the enabler to become whatsoever you want to become, right? So that's a really
And
good
in
one.
most cases, it will like naturally follow. If you're good at something and you're not like, you have to be visible, of course. So no one is just handing you a career. No one ever. But if you really want to participate in that business, want to participate in that process, in that team, in that business culture, wherever you are, you will be visible sooner or later. And if you're good at what you do, because it's your passion, you will be good at what you do. Then, of course, the career will come. And it's basically, yeah, be good at what you do, love what you do, and the career will follow. It's a given.
I'm curious, how would you describe your own situation at ServiceNow at the moment, based on what you just said?
I think I'm now at growing, not yet at inspiring, which is twofold, because I'm an inspiration, or I try to inspire my customers, but that's also part of my job. But within the ServiceNow setting and culture, I think I've started last January, so I'm with ServiceNow now for a year and a quarter. So I've learned, I've joined the team. I felt absolutely welcome. So it's an amazing culture in ServiceNow. I learned the platform, the technology, the processes, the philosophy, and now I'm starting to also go into the grow area, where I say I can also, or I am asked to support setup of processes, setup of strategies. I absolutely love that. I love strategic planning. It's one of my favorites, and I hopefully sometime soon I will be in a position where I can also go out and inspire people. Of course, perfect scenario would be to have those classical career steps, so that you also reflect that in your role and your position, that you are now an inspiration. And let this be a lesson to all the management positions out there. You should be an inspiration, because that's basically what management is. Not telling someone when they're off, or like approve vacation days, but really inspire people to be their best.
Yeah. No, I really can relate to that. Also from my experience, I think this is a game changer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
nothing to add, nothing to add. Maybe from a different perspective, I mean, everyone who's listening to this conversation or watching this on YouTube, right, can see a sneak peek of it. So your passion for what you do, and also for the platform and so on, right? But what gives you power? What gives you energy?
My friends.
Maybe, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, and maybe not coming from wowing the customers and stuff like that, but you as a person.
Honestly, my friends. So I'm. Oh God, I used to do loads of sport. So I was running. I went to the gym. I don't know. I did plenty of those, but at the moment, we might see that I'm not very fresh looking at the moment.
You
Since
look a
Corona,
bit.
my active life has pretty much come to a halt. Still, I'm planning to take up jogging again, but it's really people. It's my family, my friends, and we love to wine and dine. Just have the evening to ourselves, fancy restaurants, go out, have wonderful conversations, talk about the same stuff again and again, and about new stuff. It's basically what you do when you meet your friends very regularly. Some topics are like oldies but goldies, and once in a while there's also a new topic, and that's highly interesting. So this is my basis, and of course a very nice partnership. It's love conquers all.
Nothing to add again. But
You know that, right? The love
nothing to
conquers
add
all.
again. Maybe let's demystify something, right? I mean, the title of this conversation is quite kind of interesting, and we already scratched it in the intro a little bit. But what is career portfolio? What does career portfolio mean to you?
Um, it's a thought that lies really, really close to my main interest. I've positioned myself now in this podcast already to say, be the best you can and you will be. And that, of course, also goes hand in hand with my definition or thought of how careers should be. The classical one, of course, is you decide on your career once you finish school or even before that. And then you follow all those steps. You go, I don't know, you go intern at the company, then you start there with a medium level job, very little salary, worst case scenario. And then you work your way up. You meet the right people, you fulfill exactly the right tasks. But there's not much that comes from you internally. It's mainly a given path from the outside. And with every fiber in my body, I rebel against that thought. Because core of me still thinks you have to want it. You have to have passion for it, and independent of what it is, and it might change. Suddenly, you wake up one Monday and think, no, I don't want to be an accountant anymore. I want to be a rocket scientist. And that's fine. I mean, if you get into that area, that's even better. But in most cases, really just look at the opportunities that you have and look at the interests that you have, and don't be deterred by a classical path that you should take, because that's not you. That's external. But you have to have your intrinsic motivation. And I myself, I saw that. I mean, I started off with social science, so political science. I went into IT, and now I'm in sales. That's like full circle financially, but not financially, commercially. Let's put it that way. But there were so many, so different topics in the meantime, and it's always you try something and you find if it fits you or not, and then you turn around, try something else, and it might also be that 10 years later, the first thing you tried is still the thing that moves you the most, so you return to that, and that's fine, because in the core of me, I think career is not a path, an external path that you follow, but it's really something that you have to find for yourself and then follow. It's like the red line in your life. And even if there is none, it doesn't matter. Failure is good because that shows you where you're good at or where you want to be better at, because that's also one of the parts of failure. Do you feel really, really bad because you didn't achieve something that you didn't really want to have in the first place? If you fail at something that you really, really wanted to have, then you will try again and again and again, as long as it takes. That failure also hurts. So let's be honest, never mind. But failure also means this is the one moment where you really can identify if this is something that you want to have, because then you will try again and again and again, never mind how long it takes. Or is it something that you think you should have, but don't really want? And in that case, just leave it. Look for other opportunities and never have someone else tell you what to do. It's a bad idea, bad advice.
Yeah,
And I hope my kids are not listening.
Yeah, no, but this is a really great advice, because I think it also has to do with breaking barriers, right? Not just within, for example, in the work environment, where there might be still the classical hierarchy, just one career, etc., but also when it comes to your own mind, right? Because you might still have the thinking which was taught to you from generations before or whatsoever, but which might not be the case anymore nowadays. Or maybe this is also something which might hold you back, right? To be your own self and be also happy. I would also combine or introduce happiness into this context, because I think, as you mentioned, when you failed and you think, okay, did I even want it? Then why trying again, right? Why not focusing on something which really inspires you? And there, inspiration again. But maybe let me add one more thing, which is kind of interesting. And I think, so you mentioned rocket scientist twice now. Maybe this is something for you.
Let me think about it. Will not take long. No.
Okay.
No, it's actually I was thinking the other day if physicists might not be a thing for me, but no. But again,
Yeah.
very important message here is it's not age related. So if you're not interested in physics at age 18, it doesn't matter. If you start getting interested at age 40 or 50, well, then just delve into the topic and see where it takes you. You might not necessarily have to become a rocket scientist afterwards, but in some cases, just, getting a job with a different angle that fulfills your passions better. Might be all the now my English is leaving me.
All good. But let me, but let me write it down. So third time rocket scientist. But the other thing is, isn't it interesting how complex just the word career can be if you take it from the right perspective?
Absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people still have that notion in their head that you have to have a specific education, a specific family in the background even. There's those fields too where people say, no, I don't have the right background, familial, cultural background to go in that area. And it might also be that this is a hindrance, but if you're passionate about something, it will not be a hindrance or an obstacle very long. Education-wise, of course, there are, and let me now switch to a different example, there are specific areas where I would strongly advise to follow a traditional path like medicine, like becoming a doctor or a surgeon. I would really prefer my surgeon to have studied like the usual educational path. But if you have an interest in medicine and don't necessarily have to be like master surgeon at a hospital, then you will find opportunities that still fulfill your passion. Be it that you are a supporting doctor or clinical trialist, for example, at a pharmaceutical company. Why not? So that is something where you not necessarily have to be a certified surgeon to work there. I think what I just think of her career last year in Munich, where I met not a colleague, a girl from university, and she said she wanted to, no, not university, I'm sorry, she was working in, let me lie, marketing, and she wanted to join agile project management, I think it was. And the first thought was that jump shouldn't be too far. So from marketing to agile project management should be okay. But she said she received quite a few rejections in her applications. And we came to talk for a bit, and she said in most cases, the feedback really was that she didn't have the experience. And that's a very interesting thought to have. She didn't have the experience, but she didn't necessarily lack the training, because that's something that you can do. You can, book courses, go back to be it university, be it business courses via LinkedIn or via LinkedIn. There's plenty of courses that you can do. Her feedback was that she lacked experience. And we talked a bit further, and we defined a strategy for her how she can approach that subject. So the first step she should take is really reach out to the people who are either working in the area or in her favorite business, and just connect and see what specifically that business or that area of business requires. And then she still has the opportunity to apply, of course, but maybe first in a different role, and then within that business move slowly over to the role that she really wants to have. And that's the thing about passion. If you really are passionate about something, you're not necessarily patient. Not necessarily, but if you really want to have something, the target is really the most important thing to you, and you will work your way towards it. And in some cases, career might mean having a few stations in between that were not part of your plan initially. But as long as they bring you towards your target, they're fine. And you might even pick up a few skills on the side, which is always good.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good example, right? And maybe let me introduce something higher for talent, trained for skills. I think having this attitude is key for the future, especially when it comes to the demographics and so on, right? But also from a different perspective, or maybe another thought. I mean, almost every company is talking today about diversity, right? And in Germany, obviously, we have most of it. It's not everything, right? There's a lot of when it comes to diversity, but most of the time it's from a gender perspective, right? But especially also when it comes to what you just mentioned as an example, right? Moving from one area to a totally different area, but at the end, she has skills which are totally transferable, right? And when you also diversify your team and enriches it with different perspectives, different background, different mindset, which adds value to it, why not? I mean, of course, then the companies are coming and saying, okay, but we have this specific situation, this specific blah, blah, blah. At the end, at least from my perspective, most of the time it's just, or those are just excuses, right? Because if you really want to have an impact within your business, within your team, within your culture, then you have to be open-minded. Or what do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I can admire the fact that it is much easier to look for skills in a CV than to look for attitude. And it's really, really difficult to get to know people in an interview kind of setting. But everyone wants to be on their best behavior, well prepared, makeup and hair done. It's not easy to identify attitude in an interview, full stop. But if you look at people like upside down, look at what was the last thing they did, and ask them why they want to have what they have now, and they don't answer because I want to pay my shopping bills or my rent. In most cases, you can see if they are driven to this role because they have passion for that role, or if they are simply looking for, okay, this might be beneficial for my career advancement. Another word that I loathe. It's not a good word. And I also think, especially in our area now in sales, having different backgrounds in the team is super beneficial. It's because our customers are just as diverse as our team is, and we can then, of course, learn from each other within the team, but also from our customers, and draw those experiences together, and maybe create a completely different, amazing experience. But I think we should. Well, I want to advertise for a bit more openness. So if you have some role, some function that you're applying for, just be honest. Just no, I'm not your perfect candidate educational wise, but I bring the passion. I want to have that, and I want to excel at that. And I think German labor law gives you a lot of opportunities to just try out. You can offer a trial day that is feasible for everyone, even 40-hour per week workers, to just come in for a day, see what the whole job is about, how the team is, to get to know people, and try out both for employer and employee to see if they fit together. Generally, I think I'd rather have someone showing the passion, coming from a different background, but showing the passion, than someone who has, trained all their life towards that point in time, because basically they just bring those experiences, not, ideas and creativity.
Yeah. No, I think that's quite a sensitive topic, so let's leave it here. Maybe for the audience to think further and discuss. But maybe let me read a quote to you, right? So not every station has to be important, but it has to be right for you. First question: who made this statement?
I have to disappoint. That was me.
Would you still agree with your statement?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, a very bland reason. It's really, really, really boring. Is if you have a CV or your own CV, and there is a station in between that doesn't really fit. but you had to try. Passion comes back in. You had to try, and this was really a dream of you or a goal of you, or just just a side hustle that you did for a while. You can argue so much better that this fits into your CV. If you failed at it, full circle to the beginning, failure, yay, you can still argue that you learned from it. Well, so that's not every station really has to be yours, but you still have to feel the fit. And I know it's a very optimistic point of view on life to have only stations, jobs, where you are being located at where you really want to be. There is plenty of dependencies, plenty of limitations from the outside world that I just mentioned, paying your shopping bills or paying your rent so that you can live somewhere. I know in some cases people, and I myself also in the past when I was a student at least, you're pressed to have a job. Full stop, just to be able to afford life. Still, I think even in those scenarios, you can find things, you can find professions or jobs that have something to do with you, something to do with your passion, or a step towards your passion. And the very boring reason why I think that is also good for your CV is you can argue reasonably that it fits into your CV.
Yeah, boring enough. I think I'm on your side. So I don't know if that's a good thing, but no, it's interesting. No, thank you for sharing your point of view. Let's come back to inspiration, right? Why does career portfolio inspire you?
I think it's something that you mentioned earlier, that you have the diverse backgrounds that can inspire each other or can, integrate and be bigger than just the whole of their parts. And I think that's exactly it. If you for yourself get a few different outlooks on life or a few different perspectives, if you collect experiences, so to speak, I think you can handle not just life, but also the challenges of business completely different than just, straightforward, always to the same goal. It's also something where you can say it always leaves the door open. I'm a person, I like to always have, a door open somewhere. Not something that I just jump into and be right back. No, but always have an idea of what life can bring apart from what you have right now, because life is amazing. I mean, it's the only one we have, I know. But I think nowadays, and again, very optimistic, but we have amazing opportunities in Europe, in our areas, in business, even though we have, supply chain and labor shortage and whatnot, and inflation. Oh yeah, let me not start on inflation, but there's so many opportunities out there, and some of them we don't even know about. So it's always good to just keep an eye out, and once you do that, you will automatically see that straight line is not always the best one.
Yeah,
that was a very complicated response, but yeah.
good. And this brings us also to basically the next question, right? But from a client to a software vendor, why did you make this step?
Easy answer, because I could. No. When I was working in my previous job, I was the manager of the service desk area. So every time I picked up the phone, I had an unhappy person at the other end of the line. And yeah, I really like to help, but at some point comes a time where I say, no, I don't want to talk to unhappy people. I want to talk to happy people or make people happy. And that's different. I wanted to have the ability to offer solutions, and not just, service desk managers say like, yeah, okay, I will talk to my agents and they will offer a solution, but really be able to do some good to transform. I mean, we sell a platform software that enables smooth processes and workflows and enables the digitalization of our customers' businesses. And that's a very transformatory aspect. So I want to help transform everybody's life into something better. That's a bit different. I was very happy about the solution.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting, and I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's also kind of the intrinsic motivation, what was driving you, but also the purpose. So I think you're purpose driven. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you're not, but I would say you're purpose driven.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think also ServiceNow was kind of a part of it. Because the platform enables you to be this transformational enabler, right? Maybe from a different perspective, what role does attitude play when changing the perspective from a career path mindset toward a career portfolio mindset?
I think you suddenly see more opportunities, because if you have the career path lens in mind, then you always just see the next how do you call it, internal job portals, for example. You just see the next step that is advertised there. So if you're an intern, you look for a full-time job. If you're an employee, you look for the first management position. If you're a manager, you look for the next management position. But that's just blinding yourself to all the opportunities out there. If you're focused on portfolio, on collecting experiences, I think you're much more open to also have projects on the sideline. I know project management has gotten huge over the past decade or whatever. People tend to also see their jobs as a project, which I absolutely can agree with. If you have something and you don't necessarily have an absolute idea where you want to go, you just tend to have these side projects that kind of automatically propel you to somewhere new. Because if you put yourself in a management position and you have an employee who's open and interested to take on new tasks, and not just new tasks until they're absolutely overworked and almost burned out, but tasks that they really want to do and where they can inspire. I know we've had that word, but also inspire the culture and other colleagues, and maybe drive the business strategy forward. Then of course you would prefer that staff member or a colleague, right? Because they show that they're interested also in outside of their own tasks and take on a perspective that is broader, that they can teach themselves, train themselves to be good at that topic or at that project. And you can then take that person and develop them into something new. Does not necessarily have to be a management position. You can also go in the direction of expertise or, team leadership is also a management position, but maybe also connecting different areas of business where you have overlaps so far, but you haven't found a way to unify those areas. Then you suddenly have someone, maybe through a project work, that helps you do that.
Yeah. Maybe last question in that regards. So did you always have the mindset of a career portfolio? And if not, when did it change and why?
No, definitely not. I mean, when I started out studying, apart from this, I want to have this basic economic background. I didn't even have an idea of what I wanted to be. Let's just say I'm a bit. My mother would say thick-headed. Stur. Oh God.
Stubborn?
Stubborn. Yeah. just a tiny bit. And I always liked to try out new things, and just to have this career path always seemed a bit boring to me. So no, I definitely did not have that mindset, but I realized how much more this world can offer once you just let it be. Pick the opportunities that come along.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to mention though, just getting back a few steps, you mentioned diversity earlier. I'm sorry if I suddenly jump in and get us back to that topic. I think diversity is fine. should be better. But one thing that I'm still missing in most areas is visibility, because we have plenty of wonderful women. And if I look around in service now, we have so many talented, wonderful, passionate women. What I'm missing is really more role models, more visibility on them, not just from management perspective, but also from, bottom up perspective. Who are we and what can we achieve? And I think May now is months of leadership, not leadership, diversity, equity, and equality. And I think this is something that we should all push forward a bit more, to have not just have that female networks, but also to just make it visible that we're there and that we do amazing work. It's just a thought that I had that I wanted to mention.
All good, all good. No, I think, I mean, there are a lot of studies out there, right? But for example, also what I think is that also from a change management perspective, I think also the leadership has to change their minds in a regard. For example, when it comes to having a career portfolio, right? So you might not have the classical CV moving from junior to normal and then senior and whatsoever, right? And then, for example, if you're having interest, for example, 3 or 4 areas, and you're currently working at a company and you are reaching out to people in 4 different areas, and then someone, of course, is talking to another manager, and then, for example, you are in a final interview, and then there will be a question like, but why are you interested in this role? Because I talked to other people and you are also interested in 3 other roles. Why is this role so why do you want it, right? And then you have to be, I mean, obviously there has to be kind of a thinking behind, but then you as an employee are in a situation where you have to justify yourself, which is also it doesn't make sense for career portfolio supporting working environments. Would you agree, or what are your thoughts?
I'd be a bit cautious if I have that question, because the first notion that I have is that is a person who's very much stuck in a career path scenario. Like you now apply for this job, but you also applied for 3 other jobs internally. It's like, okay, yeah, well, who cares? If you have the basis, the background, or even the passion to go forward with that job, then you will be able to tell them. And I think limiting yourself to just this one job is also might be the best idea for you, because this is really the job that you want to have. But if you see it as it's the best job for me now, then the other 3 might also be the best job for you now. And I think it's unfair to ask someone, why do you want to have especially that job when you also applied for 3 others? And it's a question I don't want to hear in an interview. It's fair enough to find out if that person you were interviewing really has the passion for that job, because you will need someone with passion for that job. But formulating as you did now, it's like, nah, let's not do that. Let's rather try from a different perspective and say, why do you want to have exactly that job?
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing your thoughts on this one. Maybe last question from my side. Self-awareness, self-reflection, mental health, recharging, purpose. Buzzword bingo or what?
Absolutely.
This was the answer I wanted to hear.
Yeah, I know. I also tend to get a bit tired of the words, but the concepts behind them are super important. So I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I hadn't used a bit of self-reflection once in a while, just to see, we're in sales. We have to convince our customers, and we have to convince them really early on. Because if you're not convincing, like in the second session, they will not have a third session with us. And in that case, self-reflection makes a lot of sense to just see, how is the personal fit? Did I get my message across? What did the customer understand? And that's one part of it. That's the business part of it. But also, if you're trailing opportunities, it might be a good idea once in a while to ask yourself if this is really an opportunity that you still want to have. because interests change, circumstances change, people change. So still just running behind that target, even if you're not behind it 100% anymore. Not a good idea. So self-awareness and especially reflection once in a while, good idea.
So thank you for sharing this also. And also thank you for your time, Tatjana. It has been quite a wonderful conversation, always a pleasure. And maybe over to you for the last words.
This is something that I actually was thinking for a long time about if I bring that or not. But one thing that a professor of mine once told me, and I have an absolute passionate hate-love relationship to that quote, but it's actually whether you can or you cannot, you are right. And I love that quote. I hate that quote completely. I adore it. I don't want to see it ever again. But it's really, it's up to you. So if you think you can do something, then you can do it. If you don't think you can do something, then you will never be able to. So those were my last words.
And thank you for that, Tatjana. Hope to see you soon in Munich again. And take care. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Bye.